Hey guys, Dawson Weidrich from Nerdy in Many Ways, and I'm here today for this past week's college football weekly breakdown. And of course, it was week 10 of the college football season, and a lot of top teams were not playing this Saturday, or I guess this weekend, because of bye weeks such as Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, and Clemson, of course, one of the top teams, only played Wofford, so it wasn't that exciting anyway. And so it wasn't as exciting of a week as we would all have liked to see as college football fans. But regardless, there are some more exciting things that did happen that weren't necessarily in games, and that's of course the release of the first college football playoff rankings of this season, which I will touch on here in a bit. And so first off, I'm going to go through some of the games that happened this week and kind of talk about some of their importance and just some of the excitement of these games that happened. I'm not really going to go full in-depth in them. I'm going to be focusing more on the college football playoff rankings and my thoughts on them later. But with that, let's get to these games. So the first game I want to touch on is, of course, undefeated Baylor versus West Virginia. Baylor's still undefeated, but they remained undefeated in a very ugly fashion, only winning 17-14 against West Virginia. Baylor's quarterback Charlie Brewer had a pretty dang good game, but overall, special teams and turnovers were just a struggle for Baylor, and that's why West Virginia was able to hang in there for so long. And because of how tight of the score this was, it gives kind of doubt a little bit as to how legit Baylor is. But then again, there's been a lot of top teams out there that have had rough games. I mean, Oklahoma lost to Kansas State, for goodness sakes. And then Clemson barely beat North Carolina by 1. And so that's not necessarily a giveaway that Baylor is overrated, but it's definitely something to look at. The next game, of course, was Notre Dame and Virginia Tech. Now, this wasn't necessarily a huge matchup looking at it beforehand, but Notre Dame was barely able to squeak out of this game with a 1-point win. And I mean, they've been struggling lately. I mean, they even got destroyed last week against Michigan. And so they tried to avoid further embarrassment against Virginia Tech, and they did that, but at the same time they didn't, because again, it's Virginia Tech, who hasn't been playing very well this year. And I mean, Ian Book had to throw the ball 53 times in this game. I mean, when's the last time you can remember a Notre Dame quarterback throwing 53 times in a game? It just doesn't happen. I mean, he did have 336 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, so some of those struggles did come into play. But Ian Book was able to save the day with a 7-yard touchdown with 29 seconds left, and so able to take away the win 21-20 over Virginia Tech. And so they remain kind of in that top team discussion, again having multiple losses. They're out of the college football discussion in my opinion, but still able to kind of save their season. The last game I want to touch on, an undefeated went down this week, and it was Southern Methodist University. And so it stinks because they were on a great roll and it was a great resurgence of the program. I mean, it's still a great team that's only 1 loss in the season, which is phenomenal. But of course, coming out of that week, they're now number 15 in the nation, and they lost to Memphis, who is now 24, 54-48. So a high-scoring, very exciting game. And I mean, Memphis had 531 total yards, and so I mean, if you're a fan of offensive football, this was the game for you. And you know, Memphis just proved to be too much, but SMU did a great job at fighting back and making it a 1-score game within the last 8 minutes, scoring 2 touchdowns, but all a little bit too late. And so again, unfortunate that SMU had to suffer its first loss of the year. Would have been cool to see them go undefeated and see how that worked out, but we will have to wait another year for that to be a possibility. As I mentioned before, there is more exciting news this week as the unveiling of the first college football playoff rankings came out this week, and the top 4 goes as follows: Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, and Penn State, rounding it up at number 4. And the 2 teams that are on the outside looking in are number 5, Clemson, and number 6, Georgia. Now, I'm okay with these rankings. Some people are a little angry that Clemson is left out of this first top 4, but I mean, it's not a huge deal because first off, LSU and Alabama play this weekend. That's number 2 and number 3 playing against each other. So one of those teams is going to lose, and because of that, be out of the top 4. And then Ohio State and Penn State, pending they stay undefeated, will have an undefeated matchup 3 weeks from now. And so that will decide whether one of those teams gets knocked out of the top 4 or not. And so I'm not too concerned for Clemson or Georgia fans as far as not being in that playoff discussion, or I guess in the playoff top 4 right now. Again, it's so early on in the season, so many things can happen. And again, it's college football. I mean, you could see Ohio State maybe lose 2 games for the rest of the way, or even Alabama or Penn State. And I mean, there's just so many things that could happen to where many different teams could come in. I mean, heck, for all we know, in the next couple weeks, all 4 of those teams could possibly not be in the top 4, right? And so again, these playoffs rankings aren't necessarily anything huge to freak out about just yet, but it does kind of give us a picture of where we are at right now. Of course, Ohio State right now being labeled the top college football team in the nation. Again, they will have to face some tougher teams coming in the later parts of their schedule, as well as I guess, conference play, and we just really have to see how it all rounds out. So that's my college football week 10 breakdown. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And I also have some exciting news. I mentioned in a couple videos ago that I am involved in a new mini series, and I'm able to tell you the name of it and what it's based off of, but I can't share any pictures from the set or anything. I can't share anything that's happening in the show, of course, or else I'd be kicked off, and I don't want that to happen. But basically, the show is based off the book The Good Lord Bird. And so this is starring Ethan Hawke, which is actually pretty awesome. I'm really excited about it, and I'm actually going back to film another day tomorrow. I filmed a little bit on Monday. Now I'm going back tomorrow as well as next Tuesday to finish out filming for it, and it's going to be on Showtime. And so that's going to be really exciting. And so definitely keep an eye out for me in the later episodes of this series. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe. Again, the goal is to get to 200 subscribers and keep building. So make sure to help out with that. And I'll see you guys next time.